Hi, everyone. Warm welcome to this webinar about the Milky Way in Miro. This is the world premiere of that board, and we're really excited to show you about this. With me today are Alexander and Thomas. And Alexander was the one who brought this idea. So please take us away on that.
Yeah, thanks, Cecilia. Again, warm welcome, everyone. And 2 years ago, I went to ERM and Cecilia and had this wonderful experience of learning the Milky Way map and realizing its great potential. And at the same time, I had a wonderful opportunity to be working with a fantastic new tool called Miro, which is a real-time whiteboard. And I just realized that this would be so good doing it with the Milky Way Enterprise Maps in Miro. And about a couple of weeks ago, I got asked by Miro to be an earlier contributor to Miroverse, where we should put in something. And I said, what should we put in? And then I just called Cecilia and said, we must put in the Milky Way map into Miro because that would be a perfect match. So Cecilia said, yes, that sounds like a great idea. And I called up Thomas with Cecilia with this great idea.
Yeah, and I thought that sounds fun. And like 100 hours later, here we are. What I also like about Miro is the way that you can collaborate. And I had already had a look at the Miro and all other platforms that actually call themselves online whiteboard tools, and really liked it. And I actually worked in a project with the Milky Way, so this was the missing piece for me at that point.
Yes. And today we're going to, we're first going to show you the agenda. So we're going to give you an overview of the Milky Way Miro board. You're going to watch a movie about 4 minutes long to just help you navigate the board. You will see that you will read the board like a book from the upper left and all the way down. Then we're going to do a little short introduction to what the Milky Way is. And then we're going to jump over to Miro to show you hands-on how to use the Milky Way board. And also how you can work with change management remote with the help of Miro. And then we have about 30 minutes Q&A at the end. So let's start the movie.
Welcome to the Milky Way Miro board. If you are struggling with questions like, will our projects create the intended effect? Where do we have real problems that we need to fix? What IT applications do we really need? Or if you just want to know, what is actually going on in our business? Then the Milky Way is what you need. So, what is the Milky Way? The Milky Way is an enterprise map. A map showing you what you do in which order, what applications you use while doing this, what information needs to be communicated between different parts of the enterprise, as well as how you interact with your customers and partners. The Miro board consists of 4 parts: introduction to the board, map, navigate, and accelerate change. In the introduction part, you learn how to navigate the board and where to find essential information. You also find an example of a Milky Way map for a fictive training company. In the second part, map, you find a step-by-step tutorial of how to create your own enterprise map. It includes a 20-minute tryout of the Milky Way method, templates to use while creating your own map, and a longer step-by-step tutorial on how to continue to refine your map, including adding IT applications, information, and customers. In the third part, navigate, you find examples of overlays you can do on top of the map to help you make sense of other important information about your enterprise and thereby create better decision-making material. For example, what functions well and less well? Who is responsible for what? How do our products and services flow through our enterprise? What areas are our ongoing projects affecting? What do we spend our money on? And how can we improve our interaction with our customers? In the fourth part, Accelerate Change, is when you truly see the magic happen. With the insights from your map and your different overlays, it is now time to do something about it. It is time to start to use your Milky Way map in change initiatives. Here you find examples of analysis you can do in order to follow an idea and how it affects your enterprise, into the changes that needs to be done, and prioritize among these, and divide these into smaller chunks of change packages. You can see examples of roadmaps you can do and follow them all the way to actions and user stories and how to integrate these with other tools you work in. Under Accelerate Change, you also find a description of the 6-field time analysis, a way to help you navigate change over time. That concludes our introduction to the Milky Way board in Miro. Good luck with mapping your enterprise, and please don't hesitate to contact us for further information about the Milky Way.
Yes, and that was a short overview of the map. And now we're going to show you a bit about the Milky Way and what it is and what it does for your enterprise. And I'll start with this quote. Execution is the only strategy that the consumer sees. We can have great plans of how we want to change things, but it's really, really important to know that all of these are only plans unless we actually execute on them. And that's what really is the benefit of the Milky Way map. So what we have are, let's see, that one, the clicker isn't working. So maybe you could help me put that forward. So we have, we like to describe things in models. For instance, so what do models do? They help us to simplify things so we can look at things from one perspective, but also they help us to think. It's easier when we scribble something and get it down on a piece of paper to help us think, but also to communicate between one another. If we are, for instance, rebuilding a kitchen, it's easier to actually do a plan of it and communicate with the rest of the family than trying to explain it through words. And we're absolutely, we know that this one can't be applicable to, for instance, the neighbor's kitchen or my living room. So they're just in this form and applicable for what we're trying to show. And given that we have so much use for models, we actually live in a world of models. And as an enterprise architect, we use a lot the business model canvas, processes, information models, and application models. But that's not the whole truth. And there are just so many other models out there describing an enterprise, everything from organizational chart to what projects are running, or the new strategic initiative, even texts are models, actually. So the question is just, where do we find what is working, and how are they connected to one another? So a normal situation, here's me, and I might get the new strategic plan for the next upcoming year in a text form, usually like 72 pages of this is where we're heading, and try to understand that one. And I might be running some projects as well, or a team of people, and I need to do the budget for them. And then there are ongoing projects. We need to know how far we've reached our goals, and someone is coming and suggesting that we should work in a different manner. Someone might think we should change how we are organized, and that's an organizational chart. And then IT also comes and asks me if I have any questions or if I want to change anything of how they've actually set up the whole IT system. Something that might look more like a spaghetti diagram to me. And this is sort of the my everyday working environment. I have to navigate between all these different sort of realities, really. And the thing is to try to understand how they actually interact and fit together. It's not the easiest thing in the world. And then I might try to communicate with Thomas or Alexander and ask, you know, what do you think? But they might have read other documents, seen other models. So we might end up in this kind of situation that there's a huge risk for misconception. Due to that, we do have different mental models. We can't carry all these models around, so we simplify by actually doing mental models of them. And so someone says something and there's a lot of question marks about how this really affects the enterprise. It's good that we see things from different perspectives, of course, but if we don't know what we're really talking about, that could actually be a problem. So do we have any other models around us? Here's one. We've all been in this. We're introducing ourselves in a meeting, and here's a person saying, I come from Fiumicino near Rome in Italy. And it's not like these kinds of models is the ones that pop up for people in their mind, because everyone starts from one and the same model, and that's the map of Europe. And given the information that we had, we can say that at least Fiumicino is not here, because we heard Italy, and that's a very recognizable country due to its form. So we can zoom in towards Italy. And if we have any clue about where maybe Rome is situated, we can zoom in towards that area. And I might even have a friend who lives in Fiumicino, so I might have these kinds of mental models of what Fiumicino looks like. But regardless of how much we can zoom in or out, we at least all start from one and the same model. So what are the benefits of geographical maps? One is that we have decided about different, that north should always be up on a map. This is a map of Sweden, and the southernmost part of Sweden is called Skåne. It's always going to be at the south. It's always going to be at the bottom of the map. It's not going to jump around. It's always going to be there at one place. And then maps also come in different scales, so we can zoom in and zoom out. I'm from a little town called Skövde, and I can't find that on a world map, but I know where to zoom in to find my place. It's also a very stable representation of the world. The continents don't move too fast. What might happen is borders being changed. But overall, the world map is a fairly stable representation. And what's really interesting about maps is they actually contain a lot of different information. I don't have to go to 3 different maps to view, for instance, the typography, and then where are the roads or where are the cities. They're all overlapped into one and the same map, which creates a lot more. It's easier for us to understand than if we would have to navigate between all the 3 of them. We also spend a lot of time actually in school doing geography lessons and learning about this and our world, which helps us to actually have one and the same mental model of the world and what it looks like. And since it is a stable representation, we can use it as a foundation for other kinds of information that is actually changing more rapidly. Here is an example of how to navigate between 2 cities. And everyone, at least who lives in a larger city, knows that it's very different how long the commuting time takes if we, for instance, start at 5 o'clock in the morning or at 7. The same with weather. It's very easy to overlay. It's changing all the time and make sense for us. What's the weather going to be like for us the next 24 hours? And this is really an anchor model, the geographical map for a lot of other kinds of information. For example, historical facts. Where was Gandhi, for instance? And we sort of move to the right in our mind and go towards India. Or Martin Luther King, where was his speech? And we sort of move left towards the US. So that helps us remember things in a different way. So can we create something that is a shared map for our enterprise? But what will we use for North? Because, yeah, sure, we can map all our facilities on a regular geographical map, but that doesn't make the sense that we're talking about here. So what can we use instead? And what we can do is we can identify and visualize the overall value flow. So what does an enterprise do from an idea and then on to maybe promoting it or creating it, and then create contracts, start to produce it, and then deliver, sell, and do follow-up. What does this company do over and over and over again? So here are two examples of two companies. To the left, you have TUI, who is a travel agency, sends people to great vacations. And to the right, we have Systembolaget, which is the company in Sweden that has monopoly on selling alcohol. So what do these companies do over and over and over again? So if we start with TUI, they start to plan, where do people want to go? And then they have to find all the planes and hotels and resources that might be where they should have these travels to, and then market and sell them, and then on to actually deliver these fantastic travel plans, so people can go on their vacation and have their guided tours and babysitting and everything else that needs to be combined with that, and then do follow-up. What did the people, what did the customer think? Where did it go financially well, etc., and to start over into the next plan for the next season. And if we look at Systembolaget, they have a shift in product range that they do 4 times a year. So they start to plan as well. What do Swedes want to drink? We have a speciality at Christmas, which is called glögg, which is a form of glue wine. That doesn't work to sell in the summertime, for instance. So what do they want to sell at the moment? And then we go into product management, trying to find these great wines and beverages that we can offer. We inform the public that this is coming out, and then we launch and sell and do follow-up. What worked? What should stay in the product range, and what should we shift out? So that's the hub of the Milky Way. So we divide into a few steps. Somewhere in between 4 and 9 is usually applicable. And what's happened there is that we've actually divided this area into different continents. All of these steps creates different sectors in the Milky Way. And now we can start to ask questions. So what's actually going on in our business? What is happening in each step? What is being done? And here we can place the capabilities that occur in the different sectors. But not only that, we also ask, when you do this, what IT applications do you use while you create this, whatever you do? And the next question is, and what information do you create that someone else is interested in knowing about and needs to know about in order to do their job? And then we add the arrows on that. But also, how do we actually interact with our customers? So we can add the customer journey to the map and look at how we actually interact, and are we creating the best experience for our customers everywhere?